I'll do the countdown. What's going on, everybody? So, this is Travis with Scattercast. I'm here with Ray.
What's up?
And we have a interesting kind of episode. The new Magic the Gathering set came out, and I bought the bundle, and I haven't played Magic in a while. And so after I bought it, I texted my brother, hey, what did I just do? And he was we kind of talked about it. And then a couple days later, you're like, hey, did you get into that bundle? And I was like, no, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing with it. So so I've saved this for almost a week. It's still in the plastic. But I figured it would be an awesome opportunity for somebody like me who's just getting back into it and somebody like you who's been into it to kind of explain what you would do with this box. And I have a camera off to the side that you can't see, so I'm going to pop that on so I can do, as we unbox it, whatever, we can film it and
awesome.
Kind of explain, what it is. I wanted to do a video of me getting this because, I got my support your local comic store shirt on. I did pick this up at my local shop. And I had my mask on and I had my camera all set up in the car, and for some reason it didn't work. And it was on a tripod. You could see me leaving, come back in. But my phone had one of those freakouts where I was just like, no, I'm not going to record. So I don't know what that.
Sucks.
So I shut it down, restarted it. It seemed to be fine, but who knows? It might be time to get a new phone. So, but I had a little thing where I had the mask on. And I was like, this is what you got to be, being a nerd in 2020 pandemic. So got the new box, Ikoria, Lair of the Behemoths.
Big dumb dinos.
Yeah, the big. Did see this is perfect. So I'm trying not to get some.
This is your set.
Yeah. Do you want to jump in?
You want me to lay a background, just in case anybody that's watching it has no idea what the fuck Magic the Gathering is? Well, everybody should know Magic the Gathering is ubiquitous, Dungeons and Dragons. Mm-hmm. So even though somebody might not actually know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, if you say Dungeons and Dragons, they're like, oh, I know that. So if you say Magic the Gathering, people know
it's almost 30 years.
Number one. Actually, I just saw a tweet today that said Magic is 27 years old.
27, so, nice. See,
which is funny because
makes sense when I started playing.
I used to get crap from people at work because it's like, oh, you playing like this, but I'm like, yeah. But the funny thing is that you go to these game stores and play this game, and it's surprising the number of people in our age group that are there playing. I mean, yeah, you still got your teenagers and stuff like that, but I'm like, I think older, mid 30s, early 40s guys, are well represented in this.
Well, it was funny because I played for about a couple months when I was in 8th grade. So maybe 2 years after. So when it was that first pop culture boom, you know what I mean? Because saying I played when it came out, it probably had a year before it was a thing. So in 8th grade, my buddy taught me. But when you're kids, you don't know how to teach people games very well. Mm-hmm. And so you just want to win. And so he won, I lost. So I was just like, what am I doing? And we played D&D. Right. And there was an early sort of D&D Magic, kind of snowboarders and skiers kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got you.
You didn't want to, D&D was we were the eccentric nerds. And now there's this new nerdy thing. It's more popular. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Coming up, and we were like, well, we're using our brains more, you know what I mean? We're creating the world, not playing cards.
Right.
So, we used to shit on it a little bit. And then I remember hanging out, this is before you started playing, at a friend's house, and the whole family would play. And it was weird because it's you never expected anybody, a couple people that we played D&D with because it was a big family, but everyone would play Magic, but they would play it with the rules, but it was a normal board game that you had in the house. You know what I mean? They would just have a big box of cards, do a draft, and then play. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then that's what sort of opened me up oh yeah, why, I was a kid, why was I shitting on this?
Right.
And then I figured I did the math because I was really into it for a year, the year me and Dana got married.
Mhm.
So you taught me the Christmas of 2010, and then 2011 I got married.
Okay, so I did teach you early on.
Yeah, so it'll be a decade, which is
Well, yeah, that would make sense because at
think.
your bachelor
party, yeah.
thing, you and Feinstein were playing
Mhm.
one morning. So I was like,
we got up and
did teach
played.
you.
There's comics from
I
SideQuest
did-
like back in the
that's
day.
awesome because
from that.
yeah.
We have a couple of early comics from, which is weird because I was just like, if you had asked me how long we've been playing Magic, I wouldn't have said that you've been playing for a decade. You know what I mean?
Well, I knew personally I'd been playing for that long, and the reason why is because, like you did with your wedding, I can always time out some of my hobbies and some of the things I do based around like
Big
large events.
Yeah,
and
that's what I do.
In November of 2009, we moved into. In November of 2009 is when we moved into this house, and then early spring of 2010, I was at Meyer, and I don't even know what I was in because I didn't do any kind of like hobbies like this at the time. But I somehow found myself in like almost like the kids section at the time where they would sell Magic cards, and I just saw like these starter decks.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Holy shit, man! I remember playing Magic," and just somehow like it was quickly recognizable to me, but like it was also, I think I just happened upon it because around that time there was a huge resurgence in Magic.
Yeah,
they had just done like a major rules change where they had changed some different things around in the way things work with the stack and stuff like that, and so like there was some players they lost because they thought it was like a dumbing down of Magic, but then it also gained a lot of people in popularity. So anyway, so I found Craig kept wanting to try to get into stuff with me. Like we tried playing Munchkin one night with his wife and my wife, and that like just went disastrously bad.
Yeah.
And so, and we knew like just the two of us couldn't, like, he was like, what about Dungeons and Dragons? Like, you used to play Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, yeah, but this is like hard with only two people.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big appeals. Sorry to cut you off. One of the big appeals of this is that you can do it with just two people. And, we talked about this before about like in groups where you end up becoming the DM all the time and you don't get to play, where this you play. You know what I mean? You don't. There is no. I made the story and I did the whole campaign, and now everyone's fucking it up. Wanting to be Deadpool, being a chaotic evil character.
Right. It's
chaotic neutral.
It's a cool game in that aspect because it's obviously there's no like one person controlling it, so both people are playing equally.
Yeah,
and but I also like it because it's one of those hobbies, kind of like like miniature wargaming, where if you're not able to play your miniature war games, there's still like models to paint, stuff like that. Same thing with
that's a good way to think about
it. If you're a deck creator, like I am, like I'm someone that really, really likes to build decks, then there's something I could do on my downtime because I can go through my collection, I can take apart decks, I can rebuild them and stuff. But to try to stay focused here so people know what you're getting ready to get into, I'll just do like a quick. So Magic the Gathering is basically it's a tradable card game. You use physical cards, so these look like they got cool
shiny
artwork on them. It's
they
fantasy
did
based.
The artists that they get are amazing.
Yeah, but it's a game that's basically I forget the total count at this point in time, but we just talked about for 27 years they've been releasing new sets. They release I do believe at this point in time right now, so I'm not including any kind of special release type things like the Commander series and stuff like that, but they release four I think it's 4 expert sets and a core set each year.
Okay, so what's
so what you're getting ready to get into here is what we would refer to as an expert set.
Okay, so this is
the reason why they call it that is because they have what's called evergreen abilities on cards.
Yeah.
So things like trample, flying, death touch, life gain. That stuff is all stuff that's been around in Magic for years. You learn about it in the beginning when you first learn how to play it, and it's nothing.
Trample was one of the first things I really grasped, hardcore, and it was like that idea of just like you can't block it, because one of the rules that I always mess up was I don't attack you personally, I attack the field, so to speak.
The expert sets, they introduce a majority of the cards are new. They do reprints. Some cards, but the reason why they're called expert sets is because they introduce mechanics and keyword abilities in those sets that primarily usually stick to those sets. They may return to one later on, but a lot of times with some of these sets, it's like those keyword abilities or those things that they introduce are kind of key to that set.
And so would you say that this set is the start of where those other ones will follow? So this is like the core, and then things that will expand from this piece. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
this piece is this set you got here is introducing a couple new mechanics.
Okay.
One, and we'll talk about them when you get to the cards. But one new mechanic is called mutate.
Okay.
It's very fucking confusing. That's why I'm doing this with you, because it took me a while
to
understand it.
That's what started this too, was you'd said, hey, have you opened it? I said, no, I don't know what I'm doing with it. Right. And you said, there's a new mechanic. And I was like, okay, we're going to save this for...
Yeah, the other new mechanic is one that's called Companion. And so it's basically like... so to back up a little bit, they're calling this year the Year of Commander. Or EDH is what we used to call it. I still call it EDH.
Yeah, okay. That's
so they're introducing a lot of like
Commander
product this year.
Yeah, because
they're making cards Commander friendly.
And this set has it. When you read the set, this is what clued me in that they're doing different stuff. Because on the back it says, "Find your monster in a land ruled by gigantic beasts. A single human barely stands a chance, but you don't have to fight alone. Seek out the perfect monster companion to team up with as you take the behemoth in Ikoria." That's sort of, there's one more sentence I'm not gonna read it, but that was sort of like a key of like, oh, they're moving this more towards EDH, where you have an actual commander or something with you. And I should have gotten into EDH, because EDH is something I keep hitting. Sorry, there's a lot going on. EDH seems something more up my sleeve, because I got out of it because there is not a lot of people play Magic around me, and I lost the one. Are you frozen?
No.
Okay, cool. Okay, it looked like you were really still.
I'm just concentrating on what you're saying.
Sorry, I'm like in the Zoom mode. It's like, are you frozen? So I was just buying them and collecting them, but I wasn't playing, and I had more. I had more fun when me and you would just do drafts or we'd do events. So I gave you. Originally, it was like, hey, make me an EDH set. And then I was like, just take everything. And I kept some training, like fun decks to have, and like a lot of the supplies. But that was my sort of, that wasn't that long ago. But I mean, I hadn't played, last time I think I played Magic was the time when we played an indie, where like you just went for a release. And that dude had that like huge robot. Remember, he was playing, like the tabletop painted miniature game. Yes. And he put that thing, it was like the size of a baseball. Yes. Like boom.
We went to like a little Magic Day or something like that. Yeah. Those like little starter decks.
And I think that was the last time I had played.
Well, I just organized the stuff that you gave me.
Most of it was
going through some stuff.
Giving you back.
I still got that. What's that?
Yeah. Most of it was just me giving it back to you.
Yeah. So I got this box or whatever. And it's funny because I just did this the other day because I'm trying to put like all my like bulk crap into like these big monster boxes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was like able to kind of gauge where you left based on like the cards I was organizing.
You know, and that's what I liked about it. I really liked the game. It was just, I fell off on the collecting, and I think my OCD took over with because I kept asking like, okay, now what can I use? and you'd send me the same thing, like, just read it. This is what you can and can't use. And then I was going through, and when I gave you the cards, I was actually going through and trying to organize them, because there was probably like a big pile of organized cards in some sort of fashion. And I think I just it was too much for my brain.
I think you were
whatever,
which it's fine. I was the same way too.
Yeah. Overthought.
But you were really like worried about like what was legal, what wasn't. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it don't matter unless you're playing at like a tournament.
Yeah.
But I think that like you still were going into it like, hey, if I find a store though that does F&Ms, I might want to go do one. So I want to make sure I don't show up with like 6-year-old stuff.
Well, or just like be off on something. Like one of the funnest times we had was when we played where I made the comic of where it was like so stinky, and when it was like became like a living meme of what nerds would be.
So that was a pre-release.
Yeah.
That was when you got 6 packs and you opened up your packs, and then with what you get in your packs is what you get.
That was
awesome. You try to build and stuff around there.
So
but yeah, so I'm trying to figure out, that's partly why I was frozen, because I was like trying to gather my,
you were perfectly still. You're like,
because there's just no possible way to explain everything. I'm like trying to give like a quick background to Magic.
Yeah, keep interrupting,
but not get too detailed in the rules. But basically, so in Magic, this would be the easiest thing. So fuck talking about the rules. The biggest thing is there's basically different formats that you can play. So for starters, kitchen table Magic to this day is still actually, I just learned this the other day, like one of the few things I don't know about Magic is that surprisingly kitchen table Magic still makes up like the predominant amount of people. So what I mean by kitchen table Magic is like they're just people like when you played with Feinstein up in the just jamming whatever the fuck you want in your deck.
My friends that we played with that I didn't know they played.
You could have this brand new card that just came out last week or whatever mixed in with like
crazy old shit,
like crazy shit from like 95,
living wall, whatever, gelatinous wall.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that's kitchen. Like, we'll just call it no rules Magic.
No rules
Magic. You can do whatever you want. And then, but as far as like what Wizards of the Coast, the maker of Magic the Gathering, as far as what we refer to as their supported formats, these are the things that you can go to stores on the weekend. You can go to different events and you can play in sanctioned events. And so those different formats are standard, modern, legacy, vintage, and then there's other formats, but those are like the four. And then Commander is a format too, but it's a casual format, almost like kitchen table, but
it's like EDH but kitchen table.
It is EDH. It's they what happened was back in 2000 and shit. Now I can't remember now. Maybe 2011, I think. It was right after I started playing. Yeah. Like I started playing in 2010, and it was like a year later. They Wizards of the Coast was like, dude, this like casual format that some dudes like years ago made up is insanely popular. So they decided to make it an official Magic format and start supporting it. But by doing that, they changed the name from EDH, which stood for Elder Dragon Highlander, to Commander. So your boss or whatever is your commander. EDH was a format that was invented back like a long time ago, like towards the beginning of Magic, and it centered around, they used to have these multicolored dragons called like the Elder Dragons. They had like Nicol Bolas and stuff like that. And so they decided to make this format where you pick one of these Elder Dragons as your general, as your leader, and then the deck that you build around that is singleton. You can only have one copy of a card. It's 99 cards plus your commander, and then or your general, and the cards that you can put in that deck are only cards that are in that general's color identity.
Okay.
So like if your general is, I don't have a multicolor card right in front of me, but if it costs like one colorless, a green, a blue, and a black to cast them, that means that you can put cards that are green, blue, and black in your deck. No other, you can't put a red card, you can't, nothing. And so that became really, really popular, and people like loved it. And so Wizards basically adopted it as a real format, kept all the rules the same. The only change was changing it from Elder Dragon Highlander to Commander. I'm sure there was probably some legality issue or something like that as far as like why there was a name change. They probably didn't want these guys coming back years later and being like, hey, you've been making money off this for the last 7 years. We want in on that. So they changed it to Commander, but everything stayed the same. Commander has a rules committee. They're the ones that ban and unban certain cards, and the rules committee was, so Wizards basically is like, we're not going to tell you how to
do your game,
manage your format. We're just embracing it and making it an official format.
Okay, so it's pretty much like somebody making like someone, for an example, making like a HD version of a Nintendo game, and a Nintendo going, okay, we're going to change it and do something, but we're going to let you kind of do that.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Now that's probably
the other ones. So, but then you got Standard, which what you were talking about. So Standard is just like 60 card Magic. You're allowed to have
60 or 65
any particular. What's that?
Is it 60 or 65? Not that I'm correcting
60.
you. I thought 60
it was minimum. You can have as many cards as you want, but it's 60 minimum.
Okay.
And you can have up to 4 copies of anyone card.
I used to be that stickler. It was like 60 only when I was playing with Fink.
Yeah, well, that's smart because Magic is a game of variance and chance.
Yeah. Oh, he would show up with like.
Yeah, the reason why they have like those things set up that way is because like if you do percentages, if you have 4 of a card in your deck plus your lands, you have an X percentage of drawing that cards. When you start putting in like 61, 62, 63, statistically, those weren't good enough to make the first 60. So those are going to be in a game the worst card you're going to draw.
Yeah.
Same with limited. When you built that card, you just talked about the stink show. When that's
you're playing such few
that's called
cards.
Limited.
Yeah.
And in limited Magic, we either draft or do sealed. So draft is where each person's given 3 packs. You open a pack, you look at the cards, you pick a card that you want, and then you pass the pack to the next person, and then so on and so forth. You do that for all 3 packs. Sealed is you get 6 packs of cards, open up all 6 packs, and then you build what you want. But in either one of those, you do 40 cards because it's limited. You don't have the same luxury as constructed where you're like, I'm going to put 4 of this card in this deck because statistically I want the best chance of getting this card.
Yeah.
If you open up like a cool mythic rare or rare in your draft, you're only going to have one of those. So it's 40 cards. But we talk about that with people because people always want to try to sneak a 41st or a 42nd card in. And you're like, look, when you set down to build this deck, the reason why that card is your 41st or your 42nd card is because it's not better than the first, well, we'll say because it's lands, but for sake of argument, it's not better than your first 40. Yeah. So when it matters, chances are you're going to draw that 41st or that 42nd card when you really wanted to draw, so if that makes sense. But so circling back to Ikoria, Lara Behemoths. So what you bought, that is called a bundle.
Yes.
That is of the new set. That is the most current set to Standard. So that if I've got this figured out right, that set will be legal until a year from this October.
All right. And I'll come back from this October, episode
there's going to be to
remind myself.
October, there's going to be a rotation, and that set will leave rotation. So if you were like doing any tournaments or anything, that's when those cards wouldn't be legal anymore.
Yeah.
But basically, the main non-special Magic products that you can buy now are what's called draft boosters now. So your regular just booster packs, like your $4 or $4.50
They're
booster pack, 15 card packs.
Yes.
That's what's inside that box. That's called a draft booster. What's inside there. You can buy those singly, like you can buy one pack at a store. You can buy what you got, which is called a bundle. It's 10 of those booster packs. So 10, 15 card booster packs. And you also get like a spin down life counter, like a little die. And
that's what I'm really excited about.
And then you get like one foil.
I'll read off the bundle.
Oh yeah, go ahead, beat it up.
Alternate art premium foil colossification card. 10, 15 card Ikoria Layer of Behemoths booster packs. Those are the packs you're talking about. Ikoria, whatever. Layer of the Behemoths.
I'm gonna go grab something real quick while you're explaining to the people.
Yeah, I'll explain to all the people. 20 premium foil and 20 regular basic lands. So some lands in here because you always need your lands. 2 reference cards. That must be like the new mechanics. 6 counters. I'm excited about like little dice and dongles and pieces in here for some reason. And special oversize spin down life counter. I wonder what oversize means. I wonder if it's like a lot bigger than a 20. So I wonder how like large that life counter is. The reason why I was so confused by this box, I did want to jump into it because I'm excited about this series for some reason. But I was always the theme pack guy. I would just go in, grab my green deck, which I don't know why I just didn't do that. You know what I mean?
So they got rid of that.
That's why. Because I was literally for the other people at home. I was literally sending you pictures of what Mike at the comic shop I go to was telling me what he was selling, then pictures from the actual Wizards of the Coast Magic site and trying to figure out what was what. And that's when I realized that like the theme decks are just like, it's not you can't take the theme and play. It's just a bunch of green cards or a bunch of red, but they don't call them that. They call them different names. And the only reason is like the spine is a little colored or something, has green on it or whatever.
Yeah. So years ago when I got into Magic, and this is
that was the deck I kept that deck. I kept my original. Yeah.
So that's how I got started. Several years back in the 2010, I saw those theme decks, and I told Craig, I was like, "Here's the deal: if you make a commitment to play this game with me, because I'm not going to get into something if I don't have anybody to play with." I was like, "I will buy you your first theme deck."
Yeah, and they're like $15.
They're like $15. They used to come with a pre-made 60 card deck, sort of balanced, to give you an idea of like how you look for card synergies and stuff like that. And then it came with 2 booster packs. And the thought is like, hey, you open these booster packs and maybe you find something in it and you're like, ooh, well, hold on. This would be really good in this deck. So you take something out and put that in. That switched a couple years ago to what they call Planeswalker decks now, which is still a 60 card deck, but you got one like Planeswalker, which are like special cards. They have like abilities on them. And
wasn't that how I got a foil trample? Was my green deck? That was like it was different. It wasn't a Planeswalker, but it was like a special. You got like a common that was foil.
Yeah. So, but this go round with the release of Ikoria, jumping back to the Commander, every year, usually around October, November, they come out with they're called Commander pre-constructed decks. They've been doing it for the last several years, and they come out with it's been 4 for a while, but this year they're doing 5. There are 5 pre-constructed Commander decks. So I got one right here. So right there.
Oh, we did get one.
That big, large, oversized card in the front.
Yeah.
Which
that's like some crazy
thing with them.
beetle thing.
But that's like your marquee Commander, and then it comes with a pre-made like 100 card deck. Well, 99 plus your Commander. and it's basically somewhat built to kind of showcase that commander's ability. So this commander's got an ability that says when Cathril Aspect Warper enters the battlefield, put a flying counter on any creature you control if a creature card in your graveyard has flying. And you repeat this process and it just lists us a whole shit ton of different, like lifelink, double strike, death touch, hexproof, that kind of thing.
Yeah. See, I was torn between.
That's the other thing that this is. I forgot to mention that the other thing that Ikoria is introducing is that instead of like, yes, there are certain cards that say flying or say death touch on them, but they introduced
like almost
they introduced a new thing where for the first time ever, you can give creatures keyword ability counters. So like a lot of times, like they would print something on a card like I'll just stick with trample because trample would be like, like when this card enters the battlefield, target creature gets trample until end of turn. Or you'll have a card that gives certain creatures that effect, like a static effect, like you play this card and on that card somewhere it says like all your creatures have trample. Now you can actually put like just like a +1/+1 counter, you can put like a trample counter on it or a death touch counter. And then anything that synergizes with counters can be done that way. So jury's still out for me. I'm not a huge fan of that right now. I like putting counters on shit. I like putting +1/+1 counters. I have decks that do what's called proliferate, which is a keyword that says you can choose any number of counters that are on things, your planeswalkers, and then you can add another counter. Like so, you just add one to that. But I mean, you can't give something double flying. So I don't really. It just seems like it's going to become something that's going to be a nightmare to keep track of.
Yeah.
It makes me which one of these is a death touch counter? Which one of these is a lifelink counter? Which one of these is a +1/+1 counter? That kind of thing.
It makes me think of when I was, I kind of use Amazon as like a wish list holder, like, and then I buy it, other places. But like a pack of counter or dice that just have the +1s all over them, +2s.
Right.
The life, what is it called? I just can't remember what the word you just said.
Lifelink?
Or no, like the modifier. What would you do? You'd add a counter.
Proliferate.
Counter. You got a counter. Sorry, I don't know why I get confused. But yeah, the counting dice to actually have like it's like a 6-sided dice to have all the pluses.
Yeah, I got a set of those.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, these are pretty interesting. Like white and black.
Just because I have a set, I have a particular EDH deck that I built that synergizes around putting negative counters on shit. So I've got some minus counters and I got some plus counters. But now they are trying to help us out a little bit though, because I will give Wizards credit. Is on the very bottom in the small print there where it tells you what you get. You get a foil oversized commander card, a life wheel, strategy insert and reference card, which always come in, but it says 24 counters. So I think that they put like death touch, menace. Lifelink counters in here. Now, this is going to be, speaking of which, remember that freaking booth we went to at Gen Con where they had like it specialized in making like specialized pieces for games. So like instead of having like it was like Meeple Source, whatever, like so instead of just having like your regular Meeples, you can get like
Meeple
cool
Source.
Like this, remember we tested that Underwater Cities game? Yeah. And it had like kelp and like shit. That same company made like 3D like actual like kelp and like gold bars and stuff like that. I'm telling you, there's going to be a company in the next year that's going to be making bank on these counters matter cards because dorks like me are going to eat that shit up. I'm going to be like, oh man, somebody made death touch counters like that, like little skull and crossbones. That's freaking awesome.
I know.
Like, so I'm bagging on it right now, but I'm sure I'll learn to embrace it. Yeah. But back to what you.
Well, it sounds like it's a big shift for the game. Has this been the biggest shift in a while?
Yeah. I think personally, I mean, they've introduced a mechanic that's broken all the vintage formats so far. So in fact, this deck this set was supposed to drop April 15th.
See, okay, I'm glad you got into this. So this is when I got turned on to this because you sent a teaser at the end of March that was like, I don't know if this is real.
Right.
Know,
yeah.
Which was...
and then you sent me a thing that you're like, this is the official announcement from Wizards of the Coast. It's fucking real. I'll do a quick plug for Wizards, by the way. Anybody that watches this, if you want to learn right now, like finish watching this, and then you want to learn how to play Magic right away and be able to actually play it, get on your PC and download MTG Arena. It's free to play, and you get like starter decks and stuff like that, and you can start playing right away. So the reason I mention that is because this set, Ikoria, has been out on Magic Arena for a month now, because they were obviously able to digitally release the game, but they did not do the physical release. The reason behind that was going back to how you're like the most fun you had, is that pre-releases are what stores make money on.
Yeah.
They knew in April, with everything shut down, they're like, these stores can't do a pre-release. The hope is that if we put this off a month, maybe things will start lifting, and we can have
probably more.
We can have some pre-releases. And obviously, it got closer. Well, they didn't delay it again because they're like, we can't. In June, a new set comes out, so there's already another set coming out in June.
Really? So they're going to keep up. They're going to keep the June set.
Yeah. So they're like, we're going to be overlapping sets here if we don't fucking release this.
Yeah, they should probably push that off a little bit. I don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll go back.
I don't work at the.
Maybe it's July. Maybe it's the core set in July.
Corporation. But for people who don't know, Godzilla was the tease.
Yes.
So you sent me a picture of a card that got leaked with Godzilla on it, which I'm shocked that it didn't get leaked months earlier, because the artwork for these probably takes a little more than a couple months to do. Considering my field and knowing how
well, I was excited about it, but I'm a little pissed about it at the same time. Okay. I'll get to that in a minute.
All right, but we'll get to that. But I said, oh my God, if Godzilla's in there, I will get back into Magic. And then I saw the preview, which had the official, yes, Godzilla's in the game. And then that's when I got pumped, which is funny because April 15th, I remember I was like, dude, couldn't wait. And you were texting, I'm pacing around the house all pumped, like, we're going to get back into Magic. We'll figure out a way to play, through the internet. And then it seemed like, man, May 15th, that's a long ways away. It came pretty quickly.
It did.
It was really quick. So that's what got me to go spend $35 on this.
Right. So so I'm
now why are you mad?
Why
are you salty about it?
It's hard to get these. Like, I thought it was going to be easier to get the Godzilla cards, and they're not really easy to get.
Yeah, there's probably not one in here because that's another thing we can get.
You were guaranteed one if you
pre-ordered it. Yeah,
I bought this.
You bought the big one.
You were guaranteed one.
Yeah.
I can't even remember how many there are. I think there's 18 different cards.
Well,
basically, and I'll explain that too. Is that they're basically, which this is the first time I can think of that Magic has done this. Is it's
chase
basically almost applying a skin,
to
something, because what they have done is that each one of these Godzilla cards is actually just a Godzilla version
of
a card that's in.
It's like a token
set. Yeah. So it's more for like looks, but the card itself functions the same way. So, but I brought in my box real quick because I was talking about those, the different ways or different product you can get. So I have not touched my box yet. This is what I was talking about when I was a booster pack. So that's a 15 card. That's called a draft booster. You got the bundle, which contains 10 of these.
Yes.
A box is 36 packs. I'm saving this because what I do with my buddies is we actually, like, I get to keep the cards at the end of the day, but we draft and do
like a game.
Sealed events.
That's an awesome.
Cards. It just makes it like
fun
where you're actually opening the cards with a purpose.
Yeah.
Then
I know I'm kind of bummed there's no sleeves
which
in
I
here.
bought for show purposes. I just bought one because I don't really like these things. This is the theme booster that you're talking about.
Oh,
So it's not a theme. It's not a theme deck.
Okay.
Anymore. What this is they've taken it's bicolor. So this is a blue themed booster. So this is all blue shit in here. And then it says in the back, it says add 25 lands to this pack here to start building a 60 card deck.
Okay.
So you could do it that way. You could be a brand new player, and as long as you had access to lands, you could take this, open it up, jam 25 lands into it, and you would have some semblance of a deck. Or say you're building, like you open up your 10 booster packs and you end up building, I'm not teasing you, just
a green,
you end up building like a green stomping
monster,
deck, like a green beast deck.
Yeah.
And you know, you do the best you can. You've only got 10 packs to open, which is a lot.
I haven't had good luck building decks either, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And drafting, I do good. Like
right.
With the small stuff, but a big. I remember having decks built and being like, can't wait to try this blue deck out, and even just getting wrecked, and then being like, fuck all those cards. And then that's how the Beasting deck came up. It was like the third deck I built, and it was all cheap shots. And I killed you with the Beasting, and you're just like, and that's when you.
That's how Magic is supposed to work, though. That is the thing I love, and that's why I love Limited.
Yeah,
like is because as soon as Magic came out, pretty much in a pre-internet world, they would have tournaments. I mean, there'd been tournaments since the beginning, but in order to look at deck lists and shit like that, you had to go buy a magazine called Scryfall.
Yeah, or Quest.
And when you bought that magazine, it's like,
dude, maybe that Quest turned into.
You're like, oh shit, did you see so and so one with this deck? You know, but it was like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Now in real time, you know, it like I told Amber, I said every fucking Magic player falls victim to this sooner or later. You get a starter deck, you get some packs. You're like, oh man, I could make like a Death Touch deck. I'm gonna put a bunch of creatures or a trample deck, and then slowly but surely. You get to the point and you go to Google and you type in winning Magic the Gathering decks, enter, and then you see the freaking list of like the top standard decks out in the format, and it's called net decking, and that's where people make the decks. But where I was going with that, sorry, I got ahead of myself again. Back to the this was supposed to be released April 15th, and it got released May 15th. So it is now May. What today's the 19th? So it's May 19th. This officially came out in paper on May 15th, and they've already banned 2 of the cards in this set in Vintage and Legacy.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Because that companion, it like the community is raging right now because the companion thing is.
Well, I always get it in the most tumultuous times to get in the thing.
Broken though.
Yeah.
So the way companion works is that you have these cards. That, and if you get one, we'll talk about it. But basically, it says like if your deck meets these criteria, then that card starts outside of your deck in its own zone, almost like your commander.
Yeah.
So it's basically giving you a free 61st card to your deck that you always have access to.
Yeah.
You don't have to use the spell to go search for it. You don't have to luck into it.
There.
You just get to cast it whenever you want. So in standard, it's pretty powerful. But when you go back to Vintage and Legacy, which is the most broken shit of ever in Magic, and then you have that stuff have access to it, it enabled like turn 0, turn 1 combos, like you know. So they're like, emergency banning.
Yeah, because it's got to be hard to when you have a game so built up. You know what I mean? Over the years,
right? Well, they have a thing that's called the Future League, which is they're like a bunch of Magic employees that because that's what a lot of people don't realize is like the shit that's printed on this card here, even though it came out this year, this has been like 2 years in the making.
Oh yeah.
Like they're thinking like that far ahead, and they're working on these cards that far ahead, and they're hoping to find those interactions.
It's like a video game though. Sometimes
it's a game that's got 12,000 interchangeable parts.
Yeah, it's like a video game.
If you look at every unique card that's out there in Magic, it's like, and then you have the hive mind of the community. It's only going to take, you know, a community of literally thousands of players
Uh-huh.
to find something that a group of 12 people missed.
That are under deadlines, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you can't stop the machine. You know,
Right.
there's an email somewhere that says, hey, this is probably broken, buried in someone's email box that never got read, you know, and now it's printed on a card. All right.
The last thing I want to talk about before you start opening is the last final product you can buy. This is called a collector's
that's nice.
booster. And these are like $25 for one booster pack of 15 cards.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all like it even says on the top, it's a supercharged booster experience. It's all foils and I'll show you one here because I've got one that's a foil and it's here's an example. So here is I'll use a green one too. It's not the same card, but so this is a normal green card. Sorry about the glare. You got your border and your your mana cost up there. This is an extended art with what they're calling the inked treatment. Alternate art version of this mythic rare card.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, she's like almost like
comic
book like.
Yeah.
And then there's no border.
I like that.
That's the type of shit you get in that $25 booster.
Nice.
Now, this is where I said I'm getting kind of mad is that, of course, in the $25 boosters, you're guaranteed to get one Godzilla card. So there you go. So you're going to have to get really lucky in the regular packs, but you're guaranteed to get
And I have no luck when it comes to regular packs. That's why I got out of any sort of card game originally. Because I remember going to...
A lot of these Godzilla cards aren't going for a whole lot of money, though, so I'll get you a couple and send them to you.
All right.
If you don't luck out. So let's do it.
Are we ready? All right. Well, I'm going to cut in the plastic.
Just going to open a couple, or are you going to open the whole...
No, I'm opening up a couple because I didn't realize that there was no sleeves.